Сегодня пятница. And if you follow my channel, you know that means we take a break from vocabulary and grammar, and we do something a little bit more lighthearted. We talk about their culture and their history. And because this is the Friday before Easter, I want to talk about two traditions the Russians have in regards to Easter, and I also want to explain to you the symbolism behind the Russian Orthodox's cross. Давайте начнем. Всем привет, меня зовут Jared, и я делаю русский язык легким. The word for Easter in Russian is Pascha, and that means Easter. But it has another meaning as well. It also refers to a cylindrical cake, which they only make at Easter time. Here's a picture of the first Pascha, or these cakes, that I ever saw when I was in Ukraine. And I can remember when they brought these out to me, I couldn't help but pause for a minute and didn't know if I was overstepping my bounds, but all I could see was some very adult connotations. They were cylindrical with this white goop dripping down the side. I really didn't know what to say. I was like, are these what I think they are? And as I just kind of stared at it for a few seconds, not knowing what to say, the people who had me over as a guest there and were presenting this to me just started to laugh because they obviously could see my thoughts and knew what I was thinking and wondering and pondering. And so at that point, I was like, okay, obviously this does mean what it does look like. And it's true. It has some very phallic symbolism to it. After all, this is the time of rebirth. The reason they're cylindrical in shape is because back in the times when they didn't have fancy cake pans and whatnot, they would take the batter and put them into any sort of tin cans they had. So maybe they were soup cans or number 10 cans or whatever cans, food or other items had come in that they had kept. They could pour this batter into, put it in the oven, it rises, and then they dribble the frosting and some other goodies on top. And I don't know if cake is the right word. It's a very sweet bread. Some people call it a cake. I don't know how the Russians would define it there. If you're Russian speaking, maybe you could leave a note in the comments there. Do you consider this a tort, a cake, or is it just like a sweet bread? But anyways, that's one of their traditions. They make these pastas at Easter time. They eat them after dinner for dessert, and they're tasty. They're good. The next Easter tradition I want to talk about is going to require some new vocabulary. There's the word Isus Christos. You can probably guess what that is, Jesus Christ, and specifically Isus is what we're going to be using here in a minute, so Jesus. The other word you're going to need to know is Voskres, which is a short form adjective for resurrected. So it means to be resurrected. So when you say Isus Voskres, you're saying Jesus was resurrected. And in Russia, it's really kind of cool. On the day of Easter, they greet you that way rather than just saying Здравствуйте, hello. They say Isus Voskres, and they say it with joy and excitement. And the correct response to that is Воистину Voskres. So Воистину means really or truly, and then Voskres, resurrected. So you say Isus Voskres, Jesus was resurrected. And the answer is Воистину Voskres, truly he was resurrected. And I always thought that was kind of neat. And the Russians love that, especially as foreigners, is something they like to share with you, and they'll come up and they'll greet you that way, seeing if does he know how to respond correctly or not. And so now you'll know that. It's pretty interesting there. Okay, those are the two Russian traditions that I wanted to tell you about, the Pascha, and then the greeting, Isus Voskres, Воистину Voskres. The other thing I wanted to talk to you about is the Russian Orthodox churches, the cross. You'll notice it's a little bit different from the standard Catholic cross. The top level that you see here is supposed to be representative of the sign that hung above Jesus, which said, King of the Jews. The next bar here obviously is fairly similar to the Catholic Church's Christian. This is what represents where his hands were nailed to the cross. And then this bottom rung here, this is where his feet were nailed to the cross. And the reason this one is tilted has some symbolism as well. If you'll remember, Christ was on the cross, and then there were the two thieves, one on either side of him. And one kind of recognized that Jesus was the Christ and this great person, and he was wrongfully being crucified. And Jesus said, that we would be in heaven together. And so he was kind of the quote unquote good thief. So the side that leans up is supposed to be pointing towards the good thief because he is going up to heaven. And the other thief kind of, he did not make the right choices. He was going to quote unquote hell. And so it's pointing down into the direction that he was going, kind of some symbolism there. Other people have also explained to me, and I don't know if this is true or not, but the side that points up is always supposed to be pointing north. It's supposed to be oriented on the onion dome there is to pointing north. So you should be able to use it as like a compass, a guiding light to stay on the straight and narrow, if you will. I don't know if that's the case in all churches or not, but that's how someone explained it to me. If you want some additional symbolism there. I hope you guys enjoyed that little cultural tidbit there. If you're serious about learning Russian, subscribe to my channel. Mondays is vocab, Wednesdays is grammar, and then Fridays we keep it light with cultural and historical relevant information there. All right, that's all I got for you. Isus Voskres. Воистину воскрес. Спасибо и увидимся.